Hey guys, good morning. Thanks for jumping in and joining us. And let me actually make some modifications to my camera. It's actually acting a little odd today. And move that down so you can see it. And how's everyone doing today? Let me go ahead and adjust the cam because it fell a little bit. Okay, that is looking much better. When you're a designer, you definitely care about your camera angles. If that's always the case, right? But it's good to see everybody. How are you doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. If you are, give me a little thumbs up emoji. That'd be great. Making sure that you're there. Thank you guys for your patience. Again, I just got finished with the appointments and all that good stuff, and it is I think I took much longer than I thought just to kind of like connect online with our doctor or with our son's doctor. So I love technology, but sometimes technology does not love me. So yeah, it took like 20 minutes just to like connect to the doctor. And anyways, 21st century medicine, right? Where every time we step into something new, there's always a little bit of a transition period and discomfort and everything of that sort, right? We're trying to get used to the new things around us. But I appreciate that. Thank you for allowing the time there. And I just got a quick peek at some of your warm-ups, guys. So it looks great. I feel like it was a little bit easier or it made a little bit more sense today to do the principles of design. And so hopefully you felt more comfortable with that. If you felt more comfortable, maybe, give me a little thumbs up emoji if you felt like, yeah, today was better. And it's feeling like a little bit more, more comfortable, more understanding. You kind of know what the expectation is and things of that sort. Did anyone have any challenges perhaps with the warm-up? I just want to make sure if you did, maybe give me like a little red X just to kind of be like, I'm still working on it. It's still a little bit of a process for me. But if that's you, you can give me a little X or something. You can say, yeah, still working on it. Maybe not my favorite time, but I am getting better and I do see the benefit of it. So that's there. Okay, great. So it looks like everyone's doing pretty good with that. So yeah, that being said, guys, I just wanted to say that thanks for doing that warm up. And if you did not get a chance to do it, please make sure you do that because those are points, instant points right there. They're 10 points per post. So literally like 10 days is worth 100 points of warm-ups. And so you always want to make sure or discussion posts, I should call them. So you always want to make sure you get a chance to do the discussions because they're worth like 2 full projects. So those are really, really, really important. Okay. So let me go ahead and just kind of go over that. Overall, it looks like everyone understood principles of design for this. So for the sake of saving time, I think we'll follow up with this for next week, or we'll continue to do principles of design and whatnot. But just for sake of time, it sounds like everyone did fairly well on the postings from what I read. Right, finding the 6 principles, right? First sentence, second sentence, introduction, right? The commentary, 6 sentences after that, which is each one is a principle of design. Last sentence is going to be your concluding sentence, which is sort of like the first sentence but said differently, and that is your principles, and those are your write-ups. Okay, that format that you did will be basically due tomorrow. Okay, I think it's tomorrow by midnight, so you got all day tomorrow to work on it, all day today to work on it. But remember the Google presentation where you took your 10 favorite images and we were putting it on to a Google slide and doing the principles of design for each one of them in the exact same format that we did this week? Okay, that's due tomorrow. Okay, so you got until midnight tomorrow or 11:59 p.m. tomorrow to do that. Just make sure you allot some time for it because it does take some time. And again, we were doing 10 images of your choice. anything and everything, your photos, photography, drawings, within the website, outside of a website, anime, you name it. It can be anything and everything. Go with the stuff that you like, go with graphic design, images, posters, anything that you find interesting, right? And write about it, right? And this does two things. It's going to, one, it's going to help you see how your favorite images are designed, right? Because you're deconstructing it. And that means whatever you can break down, you can rebuild again, and you can plug in your own art or your own photos or your own drawings, but in those methods, okay? So Principles of Design is a great way to break things down so that you can do bits, pieces of principles in your own unique design moving forward, okay? And one way of doing that is by looking at all the designs and images that you think look cool, because the stuff that you like visually is always the stuff, the secret sauce that pushes your voice, your graphic design, your style into existence. So we get inspired from one thing into another thing, right? So we want to make sure that we're looking at other things and that we like the things that we look at and we're analyzing, so that we can ultimately take some of that cool design and approaches and how those other designers or artists created it and bring it into our own work in the near future or in the future period. So it's a great way to kind of do that. So that's kind of the reason why we always look at things we like. We critically think about them, because in some way, shape, or form, we're going to kind of bring those ideas to life in our own work. And you gotta like the stuff you create, because that's how how graphic design works. You can't create something beautiful unless you find something beautiful in and of itself. So that's just my 2 words there. So thank you guys for doing the warm up. And how many of you guys already finished the video lesson? It was like 40 minutes, I know, but there was a lot to say, and I always go off on tangents. But can you give me a little thumbs up if you finished watching the pre-recorded lesson? Okay, great. On it there. Basically, it's all the information is there on how to target an audience. Is anyone still watching it by any chance? If you can give me a little thumbs up, like, oh, I'm still watching it. Let me know, and then we'll get you there. Okay, halfway through it. Okay, no worries. So then I'll save you a little bit of time. I will kind of recap quickly and add a couple of things here and there. Feel free to finish that up a little bit later if that's okay. The second half does talk about the principles and what the information says, but I'll go over it right now pretty quickly and we'll review. And I do have a couple of bonus things that I said in the video I was going to share live, so I'll add that on for today. Okay, so we'll take a moment and let's kind of jump in. Okay, and then we'll talk a little bit about your project. So the first thing I want to say is that did we get a chance, as the video said, to think about your topic? Okay, and how many of you guys, just by a show of thumbs, how many of you guys pretty much have an idea, or for sure what you like your magazine publication to be about? Maybe give me a little thumbs up, like you kind of know what you want to create or what you want to do. Okay, that's good. Okay, and if you're still thinking about it, that's okay. We want to make sure that we're thinking about it, because starting next week we are going to begin designing it, and it's going to be pretty quick. It's actually we're going to be jumping in and creating that magazine. So you want to start thinking about today, and really, if you need, probably this weekend, I would say, is to start thinking about your topic of what you would like your magazine to be about. Okay, so if you're into photography, maybe it's a photography magazine. If you're into illustration and art, maybe it's going to be an illustration art magazine. If you're into cars, maybe it's cars. If you're really into a certain topic, any type of specific topic of the sort, here's a great opportunity to learn more about that thing that you've been wanting to learn more about. Because part of even though it is the cover, part of the cover does require knowing some articles, having some ideas of the name, the theme, the direction, and everything of that sort. So we want to make sure that we're starting to talk about that, and we will have a sign-up form next week, and you'll have to definitely fill out that form and lock in your idea. because once we lock in the theme and the topic, in my class, you cannot change it. So once we have your theme and your topic, you're locked in until it's done, okay? So definitely we'll start thinking about that and getting that going for the most part, okay? And I think I think we're gonna really need to know our topic for our magazine, because that actually is gonna help us know who our audience is. So I think we're gonna need to definitely take a moment to fill that out. Yeah, I think we're gonna need to definitely think about that. So let's go ahead and do this. I do kind of want to start with probably the sign up form, and I think we're going to need to definitely start thinking a little bit about what we want to do for our magazine overall. Okay, so okay, yeah, we'll hold off on the hot sheet really quick. Let's take a moment to talk about that a little bit. And I'm going to switch over so that we can see a little bit of what that looks like. So let me go to Canvas here for a moment, and we'll talk about the topic sign up. So I have a little Google form, which is basically showing like topic of magazine, and basically like understanding that you know what you want when you lock it in. What I would like for you guys to do is maybe share some topics or potential topics that you might be interested in for your magazine, okay? I think this is going to be really important, because if we don't know what we want to create, then today's assignment, which is the survey or the target audience, is going to be really difficult when you don't know who it is, what your magazine is going to be about. So I think we're going to need to take a few moments to really like discuss that and just think about what it is you'd like to create. And so we're going to put that out there right now, and I'm going to share this link with you so that at least you can start thinking about it and signing up, okay? Now, if there's certain topics, I'm going to change one of the questions here. What is the topic for your magazine? Or topics of potential interest. Then I think that'll help, because if we know what we kind of want versus not knowing, then that's going to help the next exercise just move a little bit easier, okay? So we'll go ahead and we'll do that, and we'll set you up. I'm trying to think here of what's going to be the best approach, also with the sharing of some of the content. So yeah, I'll try to also take some time to maybe retrieve some of the designs as well. So then that way you can kind of see what we have. So drive.google.com. Let me go ahead and share this link. And if you're interested in possibly working with someone, I do have an option there as well. So I'm assuming that typically when it comes to online everything, that that most people want to work independently because they can. So if you have a partner, great, but it's applicable if applicable. So if you don't have anyone, you can leave it blank. And I'm going to put in the link here. And then what I'm going to try to do is see if we can retrieve some designs, so we can kind of share a little bit of it as well. So okay, so we'll do that first. We'll go ahead and we'll have you guys at least do a sign up of like a magazine of potential interest. And so even if you're not sure and you have some ideas on different topics, you can totally go about and sign up. That's totally okay too. So if you have 1, 2, or 3 or 4 different ideas, go ahead and type it in for me so that we can at least see where we want to go. And for the project, let me go ahead and also give you the instructions. So then that way, at least you can see a little bit of the project overview, okay? So because at the end of the day, it's the goal of the magazine is to get people to take action, right? So we want to make sure that we can take action. So if you need to see the instructions, so project instructions sheet, I'll put that in there. I'll load it up soon too. So then that way you can get a visual for it. And it's a little one sheet, but at the end of the day, the goal is to, how do we get people to take action, right? So the magazine goal or the vision is that how do we get young people to take action on something? And that could be, you know, action on a specific interesting topic, on a issue, on a goal, whatever the case may be. Like, you know, you want them to get interested in something. It could be music, it could be arts related. And so what I want to do is share a little bit of like some of the student projects, and then that way you can get a little bit of a visual of what we've done in the past. So that we can see like what are some of the things that students have created in the class, okay? So go ahead and take a moment. Okay, and again, if you have an idea, you can share it could be 2 or 3 subjects. As long as we're starting to think a little bit about it, that's helpful. Okay, so far we have like 3 folks in the class that are signed up. And let me see if I can go down the list and share a little bit of the project tools. Okay, let's try and see if I can retrieve a couple of things here. Okay, so I got a few examples here that I can share with you as well, okay? Anyone still typing by any chance, or entering their responses? Like, oh, hey, I'm still typing, Professor, really quick. If you give me a little thumbs up, just want to see like if you're still entering that information. Okay, Talis, you're still there. Okay. So then go ahead and continue to do that. And I'll take a moment to share some designs, if that's okay. All right, and then that way you can get a little bit of a visual for it. But let me give you guys a couple more minutes there, and then I'll try to show you like some student designs, but then also like tack it on with like the user template, so that way you can kind of see like how one connects with the other, and then I think that'll help overall in that process. Okay, so I like this project. It's a cool project. It's really at the heart of project-based learning. And basically, there's two types of classes most of the time, I would say. But there's two types of classes. There's the class that kind of gives you information and content, and you kind of like regurgitate that information, repeat it, copy it, apply it in some small way, right? And you do a lot of that throughout the semester. There are classes that are just pure memorization, and you just kind of memorize and you kind of go about doing that. And there's some classes that are a little bit of both, where you do memorization and you do a little bit of application. And it is a bit more compare and contrast and a little bit more higher level thinking, I would say. And so you do a little bit more of those applications. And matter of fact, let's see. I'm trying to think here if there's like different ways to kind of indicate that, or well, I'll come back to that in a minute. But I was trying to look for like a graphic that shows like the different types of like level of thinking. There's different levels of thinking basically when it comes to information. And so the idea is that like anytime you copy and replace, do a copy and a contrast, or repeat or memorize something that's very like basic entry level thinking, then after that you move up to like comparing and contrasting and finding the differences and seeing the similarities, and that's like a slightly higher level order of thinking, or depth of knowledge. There it goes. So I just remembered it. Depth of knowledge. So there's different depths of knowledge, or different depths of acquiring information. And let me just Google that really quick. And this is really helpful too when it comes to just kind of like the why, the depth of knowledge wheel. Let me see that. Yeah, this works. Let's see if this graphic helps. So yeah, so depth of knowledge, hopefully this will pop up a little bit larger. Come on, guys, give me a graphic. Well, you kind of see it there. Let's see if I can zoom in. Here it is. Okay. Oh, much better. So there's basically different types of knowledge, and this stuff is pretty important because it's going to help understand like how we think about stuff, right? So basically, when it comes to, there's like depth of knowledge. There's 4 depths of learning something, right? Level 1 is like vocabulary, words, data, details, who, what, when, where, why, how, right? On the left there in red. The second type of knowledge is like conceptual understanding or procedures, where you're basically applying it. So what is graphic design, right? What is design? And then and we have vocabulary for that. Then the second level is like, how can the knowledge be used? Okay, so how do we apply principles of design, right? And can we write it out and communicate the principles of design, right? Or do we know the vocabulary tools of Photoshop? And then can we use image assessments or image adjustments to change graphics on an image? So that's like a depth of knowledge too, right? and applying that. And then there's the depth of knowledge level 3, which is like how and why could the knowledge be used, right? So that's kind of like problem solving and looking at the critical thinking skills, right? Where it's like, okay, now we're going to try to make a genetic mutation, and now we have to make all these layers work in one face and make it all look cohesive and make it look like they're blending very well. So that's going to require some strategy. You're going to have to think critically, like of the colors, the sizes, the scales a little bit, right? And then apply that. And then when we get to, you know, this next exercise or this next project, which is like the project or the magazine cover project, right? We talk a little bit about some of the strategies within that, like how do I apply images and how do I adjust images and apply text and make the text work with the graphics. So we're applying that with a depth of knowledge 3. And then the ultimate, the highest level of knowledge is the what else could you do with the knowledge, right? So that is like across the class, beyond the classroom, right? To real world scenarios or situations, right? And that's kind of how I'm approaching this new project. It's kind of like a 3 and a 4 in between, kind of edging on 4, where this magazine is about how do we get young people to take action, right? This is something that you can't really Google in this project. And it's basically something that you have to be like really deep within a subject, right? Like you only know your subject that you want to design for, or this magazine, right? It's something that you know beyond the classroom, I would assume. And hopefully, you know, of course, after the class is done, it'll extend beyond the class into other things in the real world, real jobs, things of that sort. But this project is really trying to get you to go beyond like the classroom and think about social movement, getting people to take action on a topic. Now it becomes more than graphic design. It becomes more beyond the classroom. It becomes more of a like a social action type thing, if that makes sense. If that makes sense, you can give me a little thumbs up. But they say that the best way to really get to that higher level knowledge is to basically throw a project out there that goes beyond the classroom. Okay, and so depth of knowledge 4 is about creating, it's about designing, right? It's about synthesizing all this stuff and pushing it beyond. It's about like getting your magazine or your cover and posting it out online for others to see and interact with and give feedback on, right? And so that's the depth of it. So I'm always trying to go from a 1 up to a 4, so that by the time we get to 4, which is this new project, you can do other things with this knowledge, right? And then of course I do plug in like 1s and 2s in this project as well. Like we're gonna need to learn how to use type and things like that, which I will guide you on, but it is emerging into a 4. And so that's the idea. So anytime you're in a classroom and they're like, oh, they're actually like pushing me to go beyond the classroom, you know that you're getting to a high level of knowledge and you're gonna get some depth into it, right? Oh, well, they're trying to help me like explain the how and the why of the knowledge. That's a level 3, high level. You're strategic, you're critically thinking. That's great. I would say colleges typically are on a 3, and really awesome classrooms go 4. And that's normally like one project at the very minimum that is like, let's take this project and push it forward into something outside of the classroom or into your own personal life, right? So it's something that is deeply personal, but you're bringing that stuff into your life, into your interests, into your goals. Okay, so that's kind of the thinking behind that. Okay, so when you pick your topic, you always want to make sure it's something that you know that you're deep, a subject that you're deep within, so that way you can apply it to your project. So that's going to help get to that level. So that's kind of the why I do what I do in this project and getting you there. Okay. So thank you guys for replying. I appreciate that. I'll take a look at that in a little while. Let me just show you some student work, so then that way you can get inspired and just see what students have done in the past. Okay. So we'll start with like a fashion related topic. So this student, Emily, she created this cover, which is kind of in its mid stages. And so she was, it's all generated in Photoshop, right? Now, I think in this one, this was about 90% of the way done. but because we modified the title and fixed that, but her photograph and her photoshopping of her photograph were really great. So she did a magazine called Swinging Back, which is because she likes vintage clothing. And so she created a vintage clothing magazine. And so I was letting her know that we're going to need to, modify that font up there and switch it up a little bit and go 50s perhaps. But she did a really beautiful job just formulating the image without the type, without the text. So just purely looking at the image, and she pieced it together quite nicely as a collage. And it was supposed to be like a representation of like all these clothes coming out of, this abstract person, which is a representation of like all the ideas exploding from this person's head, or as it were, right? And so good old fashioned vintage outfits for spring, like list of people who want to partner up for business in the fashion industry. These were things that she generally wants to create. So she wanted to create her own clothing line on vintage clothing, and what better way than to make a magazine that kind of showcases that. And I think she did a really nice job. Now, how does this connect to today's exercise for us, which is the user template or the customer template, customer profile, persona, also known as. Let me come down a little bit so we can show you that. Before, she knew what she wanted, but she needed to create a persona of the person that would be picking up this magazine. So in her mind, she was targeting women that were into fashion, right? Or vintage clothing. So if she was targeting this person, and there's a lot of women that are into vintage clothing and fashion, I said, okay, Emily, what is the perfect, if this is the customer, or this is the group of customers you want, who is like if you had to put all these women together and take all their personalities, bios, all that, and they all had the same personality or similar personality types. They all had a similar lifestyle. They all had similar types of behavior, frustrations, goals. If you took all these women that are buying your magazine and put them and created this one person that kind of exemplifies the perfect customer that loves your magazine, who is she? And she's like, her name is Madeline Flores. So she's targeting a Latin female, right? She's 25, lives in LA. She's a fashion designer, okay? And let's take a look here. Okay, and she makes like $50,000 a year. My text is going bigger here, so we can't see the bio a little bit, but that's okay. It's on the left there. Okay, her archetype personality on the lower left there is considered to be a perfectionist. So she's a bit of a perfectionist. And her status is single. Her personality type is most likely a shy, vintage fanatic, kind, open-minded, generous person. And basically, if you heard her say something all the time over and over, then her quote would be, "I want to be able to bring back the good old fashioned," or "good old fashioned, bring back the good old fashioned." That would be her quote on the upper right-hand side. And her behavior would be more and I'm just looking at more like goals at the bottom there. But her goals would be to like start a business. Take a look here. So I'm just looking at this section over here. Her goals would be to start a business with someone else for a clothing line, to basically have a partnership, get more people bringing back the 50s and vintage fashion, be more out there and not too shy, or that would be her goal to personality-wise. When we look at just like frustrations, she is learning how to run a business successfully, start out vintage clothing line. So that's her frustration. It's frustrating to learn how to do something new. She's looking for the right person to partner with, and she's not, she doesn't want to feel lonely in this journey, wanting to be out doing this type of work, right? So those are the frustrations. Like, she doesn't want to be lonely, doesn't want to be alone in this process, and learning can be a little bit of an issue, right? Biography. She goes deeper into it, right? She says Madeline is an independent fashion designer, but is willing to start her own big business or partner up with someone to make this dream come true. She's lived in LA her whole life, and she's always been surrounded by fashion. The thing is, she's not a fan of today's fashion. She likes vintage fashion, mostly 50s, and she's really shy to express her ideas to other people because she feels like she's the only one who still enjoys this vintage fashion. She has some success on her own, but she wants to put herself out there. Outside of fashion designing, she enjoys reading, listening to jazz, rock and roll. She takes swing dance classes and likes visiting her family. So we have a very in-depth understanding of this customer's background, who, what, when, where, why, behavior, motivations, impact, salary, personalities, favorite quote. All this is going to help her make better decisions on how to design her cover. Okay. Does that make sense, right? At the heart of it, right? One of the biggest things that designers have is that they don't know if what they're designing is right or wrong. The big problem is that the reason why they don't know whether what they're designing is right or wrong is because they're not creating this avatar, this persona, this personality of a person, and creating this person and making them as real as possible. When you know the ins and the outs, the persona of a person or target audience, you can make better design decisions because you know what they'll like. Does that make sense? Right? It's kind of like a relative you're buying a present for, right? If you're gonna buy a present for that person, you know that person, so you have a better understanding of what to buy them because you know them, right? This is kind of like that. You don't know how to design for someone outside of yourself unless you create or know the person or create this persona of your person, your perfect customer, as it were. And when you picture them in your head clearly, then it becomes very easy to make decisions in your designs for that audience. Okay. If that makes sense, give me a little thumbs up. Okay. Because it's all about making the right decisions. Then you take the stress out of yourself and you say, okay, I don't know. I think one of the biggest things about Loungefly when I first started was that I did not know who the customer was, right? I just got thrown in and was like, hey, we're doing Disney this, right? But then at some point it was like, who buys this stuff? Like who is like our customer or customers? And then it was revealed that it's like, oh, we kind of like sell to like sort of like artistic, but like novelty collector, like kind of like collector, the female collector that's into like cosplay and films and nostalgia, and she is typically like has tattoos or a sleeve or two of tattoos, and she's dresses really nice, sometimes vintage, but very comfortable. But she loves all things, Disney and vintage and nostalgic and very cute and is a traveler on occasion. I was like, okay, if I had known that, I probably would have a better understanding of our customer when I see them walking about, right? And that's just the big pot of customers. That's like our greatest majority of customers that buy religiously, often, and regularly, right? So we know what the target is, and that's why we would always sell like, skull this or sort of like punk rock that, but it was like cute but scully and at the same time. So that was the customer, right? And because we knew who the customer was, we can create this profile. The problem is that when you're new, a new designer, they don't teach you this. They don't tell you who your target customer is. And then it's really hard to design something because now you're designing for yourself. And I am not a female punk rock person with a sleeve or tats, right? I don't even have a tattoo. So then I had a harder time designing because I was just designing in a vacuum. And I learned that I needed to understand the audience, and that required a little bit of business knowledge and understanding the target audience. Okay. So how is this going to help you? In this project, this stuff applies outside in the real world. If you're going to start your fashion line, know who your target audience is, right? Have an idea or a rough idea of who he or she is, right? Or he and she is. If you're going to be a photographer, understand who your viewer is. Who is this person that loves viewing your images in photography? If you're going to be an artist and you're going to sell products to your audience, who is this person, male or female? How old are they? Where do they come from? What do they like, right? then it becomes so much easier to design for them, right? Who's going to watch your films? What kind of person watches your films? Is it a young person? Is it a middle schooler, a high schooler, an elementary kid, right? You want to know who is buying your stuff, who is viewing your stuff, who is consuming, reading. That all comes down to this avatar / persona template. Okay, if that makes sense, give me a little thumbs up. This stuff will actually save you a huge headache. Okay, so anywhere you walk into, any project, large or small, you always at one point in your project want to say, who's the target? Who is the audience? And if you can ask your client that, then, and they know, you're in good standing. If they don't know, well, here you go. Now you can run this project with them and charge them another $2,000 or $3,000 for research. Okay. And then you can say, well, we don't know your target audience. We're going to have to do some research. And that's going to be another $2,000, $3,000 on top of my design fee, because now we're actually doing research and towards your audience. Cha-ching, and then you can charge for that. Okay. So this stuff has practical and conceptual application. And so I wanted to bring that up. Okay. I'm going to shut up. I want to show you a couple more. Okay. Because, this stuff matters. So I want to make sure that you guys, have that understanding. Let's go with another design. Okay, I think I saw Tracy's here. Okay, these are somewhat almost complete. Okay, all right. So here's Corey. Okay, now Corey was doing an image called Smoke and Mirrors. Okay, and civil rights, right? How shattered to having making his demotion into a great opportunity focused on something greater. And so I believe her magazine was towards a particular audience, okay? I think it was music related somewhat, but there was sort of like a deeper level to the music. I think it was like music as a form of therapy, if I recall. And so she used an image from someone called Dallin Weeks. And this was about 80% of the way done, but you get an idea, right? She photoshopped the image, color corrected it, added some highlights, put a little element in the eye to kind of represent seeing things differently, or a little bit of a mask, as it were. And when it came to her profile, I was like, okay, Corey, who's this person that's going to buy this magazine? And let's go to Corey's profile. Ooh, please tell me I have Corey's profile. Oh, it's Tracy and Corey. So Tracy and Corey had it. Okay, here they are. Because they worked as a team, so they had one profile. Okay, so so here it is. Let me see if I can download this so we can get a little bit of a visual for it. Beautiful. I have it here. Let me go ahead and share my screen so you can take a look at it. So when I ask the question, like, who is this person? Like, who is this person that's buying this magazine? They both said, Tracy and Corey, her name is Amelia Cook, and she's 16 from Salt Lake City. Okay, she's a full-time student in high school, single, not working. She's what you would consider a personality archetype of a lover, right? Like, she just loves things, people, interactions. She just loves things, right? Her personality type, she's helpful, kind, dedicated, empathetic, but also into the arts as well. And her most common quote would be is that she wants to be able to create music when she's older to inspire others like she's been inspired. So music inspires her. Okay. When we look at her goals, she wants to make music that she's proud of and can inspire others. She wants to make things better for others with regards to mental illness. So she wants to make life better for those suffering from mental illness, and she wants to, quote, survive school. Frustrations, struggling, not being able to control it, meaning probably just having self-control tendencies. Creative block frustrates her, and school in general frustrates her, okay? And when it comes to her bio, which is really at the heart, Amelia recently stumbled upon a song by My Chemical Romance, soon stumbling down a hole of bands and new music. She strives to be able to influence others like her favorite musicians have influenced her. School has her mega stressed, and she's struggling her way through life. Her mental health has been shaky at best, and she can't quite get a hold of herself. She's found salvation in the music she's discovered. outside of school, Amelia doesn't do much except draw and write. She does love concerts and reading, okay? So what does this mean, right? And then on behavior side, on the blue column, drawing, writing, music, school homework, not a favorite, extended attention span here and there, and then influences, music, friends, likes arts and community, and those are the apps that she likes to explore on the lower right. Okay, so there's like a very serious person here behind that's looking at this, right? Now, yes, this profile is a fake profile, but Tracy and Corey are referencing themselves, but they're sort of they're putting out the best and worst parts of themselves into this figure. So because they believe that this magazine should inspire other readers that are having some mental illness issues or having trouble with their mental health, and they're trying to create a magazine that inspires through music to those with mental health issues. That's super specific, but that's super great for something like a publication, because magazine publications can be super specific and be niche, very specific to topics and content. That's why they're publications, right? We can be so niche about them, okay? If that makes sense, maybe give me a little thumbs up emoji, but that's the connection, right? That's why it's important to know your magazine or know your topic, and then know and create the persona of the person that's creating it, okay? So that's half that battle right there in and of itself, okay? So that's why we do the template, okay? So frequently asked questions is, okay, well, what if there's gaps in my knowledge or there's things that I need to fill in? Then we will definitely get a chance to fill them in through other materials like resources. There is a survey that we're going to pull to find patterns of behavior, and you guys will have an opportunity to take the survey after class, so you'll be able to perform that. But at the end of the day, what we're basically doing in today's exercise is this. We want to create an in-depth profile of psychiatric or psychographic data, interests, hobbies, behaviors, lifestyle, and demographic data, right? Age, gender, location, ethnicity, income, okay? So we're creating a in-depth profile or user persona of your target, your customer, so that we can better understand him or her, okay? And so if you're thinking, oh, well, my magazine's for both guys and girls, then I would try to narrow it down to one gender that is the super specific or slightly more of the majority, okay? Really niche it down to the one, okay? So there's there's guys and girls having mental health issues, but they specifically went and targeted a female reader, Tracy and Corey, for their design for their mental health music magazine, okay? So the objective is to identify your target audience, but the most important thing is to know your topic. Know your topic, okay? Okay, so just really quick, okay, and then we'll go over some of the template and information there. I mentioned in the video that there's 5 ways to target an audience, okay? And there's so many articles on the topic basically, but there's 5 ways ultimately. And so I'll go over this really quickly for those of us that maybe didn't get a chance to watch the video. But basically, the first thing is to have a plan, right? Know what your magazine is about, which is what we did a few moments ago. And you need to know your reader, okay? So that's what the template is about, right? The in-depth template of the user persona is really number 1 and number 2 of this slide, okay? So we're doing that. We're getting the plan together, as it were, okay? Then after this, we're going to do the research, right? So you're going to do a little bit of research about, maybe mental health, or do a little bit of research about the fashion, or do a little bit of health about the art, or whatever your topic is. You're going to do some research online, and that's known as your secondary data. And you're going to learn a little bit more about the topic, the people perhaps, and what they do and what they're going through. And so you're going to find that information. Then we're going to actually, on Monday, look at the primary data, the survey, the interview, the focus group, all that. And we're going to try to do a little bit of a mini primary data survey. And we're going to look at some of that data, and you get to experience that a little bit for Monday. Okay. Okay. We mentioned that we want to create the profile. So that's what we're doing for today's exercise. And then after that, ultimately, we always want to keep tabs and we always want to know where our audience is hanging out. So I mentioned that in the video too. We always want to know where your audience is. What websites do they go online? What apps do they download and view? How long are they engaging with these apps and websites and even streaming services now as things are becoming more online? And where do they go? Like, where do they hang out physically? As things slowly open up post-COVID, or as the world begins to reopen, where are people going? Where are they traveling to? What restaurants do they go to? Where do they go for vacation, right? Where do they congregate? What concerts do they go to? Basically, where do groups of people go? And how are they moving about? So that data is that process is where do we go out? And then the last thing is that we keep monitoring the evolution of that audience, right? Most of the time, most companies, most studios, any project, you always want to monitor that audience throughout life, right? And I do mention briefly, why I think Hannah Montana or Miley Cyrus is really good at this. And you can watch that video a little bit, but basically, it's a lot easier to keep an audience than it is to create one, okay? As you're finding out from the work that we're doing today, right? You have to do the research, you gotta find out this, you gotta do surveys, you gotta do a lot to understand your audience, but once you got them, and you know who they are, who he or she is, then you wanna keep monitoring that, right? There's always gonna be someone that hopefully has an interest in this. Or this group, you're going to follow them throughout life as they get older and kind of evolve as they evolve, since we all change, right? We are all different people 15 months after a pandemic versus last year, right? So we change, whether it's naturally or if it's due to crisis situations like a pandemic, we will change no matter what, whether we choose to or not. And so those things are factors we can't control. And so we always want to make sure that we're monitoring evolution of those audiences, because coming out of COVID or the new normal, there are completely new behaviors that nobody could have predicted, obviously, because no one could have predicted the pandemic. And that goes for all of us: design, business, food, restaurants, school, like you name an industry, we have all been impacted in some way, shape, or form. And everything has changed in terms of trends and patterns. And now we have new trends and patterns that we have to look out for. So we're doing it now in real time. Okay. So that's what this profile is about. Okay. Does anyone want me to go over just like how to get the profile, making of the copy, filling in any information? If you would like for me to do that, maybe you can give me a little thumbs up emoji. But it's basically what we're going to do is we're going to copy this template that is found in Canvas. So in today's Canvas, you're going to find the project, make a copy, and basically start filling in your audience and your profile overall, okay? And so we did that survey and we filled it in, and I'll probably give you that survey in just a few moments just to kind of finish it off, okay? Questions, issues, concerns. Does anyone have a question? If you do, maybe give me a little thumbs up emoji and you can type it in the chat there. But does anyone have any questions about the template that we're doing for today? Okay. Okay, cool. Let me ask this question. How many of you guys feel very clear about what it is the template is going to contain and how it connects to your magazine topic? If you can give me a little thumbs up emoji, like I totally get it. I see the connection between the template to the theme. I'm gonna really need to know who the reader is in order to make better design decisions. I get it, I got it, I'm good. Boom, we're off and running to the races. Okay, perfect. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so then I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Then, like I said, the assignment is on Canvas, and we wanna modify on Canvas in that template for today, pictures, text, everything. We really want this person to look real as possible, okay? It does not have to be you per se. So you don't, unless you feel comfortable making it about yourself, that's okay. but it can be a real person, of course, with their authorization, or it could be a made up person. Most of the time, it's sort of like this made up person, but it can be based on a real person if you wish. Okay, so let me pull my arrow here. So the activity will be down here, user persona empathy map. Okay, the empathy map, like I said, can be used in any and all projects involving an audience. I do give you a little video that kind of goes a little bit more in depth in how finding a persona of customers or viewers, readers of your design is like sorting rocks. So have a look at that on your free time. It's really helpful, and I found that to be sort of just a way to connect. And like I said, the template is here. It's a Google slide, so you can make a copy and then start filling in your images, your text, your information. So then that way we know really clearly who we're talking to and how we're talking to that person, okay? So the more real they are, the more we understand their goals and their frustrations and what motivates them and inspires them. The more real they are, then the better the choice is for us to design for them. Okay. So so that's good. I'm glad everyone's making complete sense out of that. Let me see if I can just take a look at some topics. I'm not going to voice them out, but I'm curious to see what we got in terms of topics. So let's see really quick. Okay, so far, so we got a fashion, we got music, fashion, makeup, art, or graphic design. We're saving the earth. Okay, sustainability, it looks like. And then music in addition to that. Okay, so we will definitely have a couple of music related magazines. So this will be interesting to see what is the genre of music you're going to do it on, because we just saw an example of music for mental health. So it was a music magazine geared towards mental health. So I thought that was good. That was really specific, and that's a good example of a publication geared towards a specific target audience, right? So that was great. Let's take a look. Okay, and then once you have that topic, we want to make sure that we are locked in to those topics of potential interest. Okay, so once you do find a single topic, then we will come back to this magazine topic, and I'm going to make sure that you lock in on your subject. Okay, it's really important that you guys know that one thing. So if you have 4 things, that's okay, but by Monday of next week, we want to make sure that you have the one narrowed down, because we want to make sure that you are consistent in your design. Okay, consistency is key, so we always want to make sure that we're locking into the topic of your choice. Okay, so if you have 4, take a look at some fashion, makeup, art, or graphic design related websites this weekend. Think about it, see if you can narrow it down to 1, and for hopefully for Monday, and then we can kind of go forward from there. Okay, I'll share the survey probably for next week, or actually I'll launch the survey for you before we finish class. You can work on that, and then I'll share the user persona a little bit later so we can go forward from there. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm liking what I see so far. Before we let you go, and before I give you actually the survey, because I want to give you a target audience survey so that we can fill in some data points. Please make sure, okay, tomorrow we have a few assignments that are going to be due. So let me come back to Send over here. Okay, and let's see. Let's take a look at the calendar. Okay, so today is the 24th, so zoom in. Okay, so just to kind of let you know, if we click onto the calendar portion of our Canvas, We got our magazine cover slide. So we're still working on that. Elements and principles of design is a big one. Genetic mutation, grid variation, and the empathy maps. We got all those coming up for tomorrow. So I think the Google slide, I think will be okay. And just let's take a look here. Yeah, we'll definitely need the magazine cover slide because that's going to be something that's going to lead into next week. Genetic mutation is, yeah, we'll need to know our layering for next week. So that's going to be pretty important. And persona map is also leading to next week. So there's a lot going on that's due tomorrow. Please use today's time until 2. Use tomorrow, all day tomorrow, to get everything kind of filled in and caught up. So because all these exercises are going to lead to the magazine, and it's going to help us be better prepared to develop the magazine cover for next week. Okay. So if we're at an understanding that's making sense, give me a little thumbs up. Like, okay, I understand. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items due for tomorrow. Okay. If there's any issues or things that are coming up that might be conflicting, okay. In other words, if you think it's gonna run late, okay, please drop me an email. Okay, let me know, Professor. It might be due on. I might get this thing on Monday. If that's okay with you, just letting you know. Let me know. Either way, I want to know specifically, but keep me in the loop. Okay, we don't want to completely black out and not do it. Okay, so if there's something going on, situation, you overcommitted to our work situation. Maybe you're working and you're trying to, slip one under and think that you can do work while at the same time to attend this class. Okay, I don't mind. Be honest, right? I'm not gonna kick you out, but I can't give you time. But I need to understand where you're coming from. So honesty is the best policy. I'm not gonna hate you for it. I get it. We're just trying to maximize time and try to cut corners here and there. But let me know either way. Okay. It's helpful. I am a realistic type of teacher. I do get it that sometimes things happen and life happens, and that's totally cool. Like today, I needed a doctor's appointment. I came in later. I let you know. Everyone's good, right? Just let me know, okay? Like I let you know. Let me know, and then we'll be okay. Okay? If that makes sense, give me a little thumbs up emoji, and then we'll be cool. All right? All right. I don't bite. Okay? So we're good. Cool. Sounds good. All right, guys. So here we go. I'm thinking if I should even throw the survey at you. I'm not going to do the survey. I'm going to give you guys time to work on this stuff. I will be around, obviously. I'm going to get a couple things ready for next week. We do not meet tomorrow. Today is Thursday, so we are at the end of the week for week number, oh my goodness, what is this, week 2? Almost like, yeah, or week 3, I should say. So that is nuts, guys. So we are at the end of the week. I hope you've enjoyed this week. We did a lot, but we actually had some fun doing some Photoshop. So I'm super pumped of all the work that you're doing and all the cool things that you're creating. And it will kind of slow down a little bit when we do our cover design, but this week we definitely had a lot going on either way. So practical points, like I said, next week we're going to still do principles of design. So we're still going to keep that going. And then we also have a couple of asynchronous days happening next week too. So we'll be meeting for the first couple of days next week, Monday, Tuesdays, and then Wednesday, Thursday, we'll have videos ready to go for the magazine cover. And then we'll meet up again for the following week on that Monday. So next week will be a little bit different, but it will still be strong. It'll still be good. And it'll give you guys plenty of time to work on your cover design as well. And I will still be kind of checking in here and there too, online with feedback and whatnot for your designs. Okay. All right. Very cool. All right, guys. Well done. We will finish it. We'll call it. Have a good afternoon. Please use the time now to work on all the assignments for the week and use tomorrow, all of tomorrow. Get up early and try to get those assignments done. Share your documents on Photoshop with me. Okay. My email is also in Canvas. So please share your documents as you're creating them so I know where you are on your projects, okay? So that's the share button on the upper right, enter my email, and it's the same one as last time, and we're good to go, okay? All right, guys, Have a good afternoon. You are officially dismissed, and we will see you next Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Okay, enjoy.